Joan Jach with Old Town Flowers with me today. Joan, good to meet you.
Nice to be here.
And let's just start off. Maybe people have not heard of it yet. What is Old Town Flowers?
Well, Old Town Flowers is a super urban farm.
Okay.
It's located over by the Champaign Public Library. And this is going to be my 4th year in business growing flowers and herbs. Mm-hmm. And we've done weddings and special events and restaurant arrangements, all kinds of flowers.
And so how did you get involved with Old Town Flowers?
I used to grow veggies and sell at the Saturday Farmers Market. And when my daughter got a little bit older, went to school, I wanted my weekends open because the Saturday market takes your whole weekend away. And coincidentally, I heard from a friend who used to work at Lane Connection that they were opening a new market. And I thought, that is it. And I've been here since day one for the Tuesday market and started growing flowers, and that was it.
It fits real nice to a schedule. It's
yes.
And I can understand getting your weekends back a little.
Yes, so. It's great for a family schedule, for sure. Yeah.
And so why did you was it mainly just because of the schedule with the Urbana Farmers Market, and then this one? Is that kind of what kind of gave you that career change, so to speak?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But before that, my daughter was born. I used to work at the Geological Survey, working for the Clay Mineralogy Lab, and that's my background is as a geologist and as a scientist. And when my daughter was born, I quit, and then I was looking for something I could do from home and that would have flexible hours, and that's when I started growing veggies and then selling at the market. And so I've been doing market ever since she was 1. And it's been great because it's really adaptable. She can be out there with me. And that's really what prompted it was a major career change. And so I don't even use my geology background.
Right.
I mean, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what is the difference between, you went from growing vegetables to growing flowers? What's kind of the difference there?
There's a huge difference. It's in the planting and the seed buying and those sorts of things are still the same, but you grow let's say I grow a snapdragon. I can get 10 stems out of one plant. And if you have a pepper plant, you're going to harvest those peppers, and pretty much it's going to be done for that season. You're not going to make a whole nother plant full of peppers. So you get multiple harvests off of the same plant. It is more profitable. You can make more money per square foot. And I just really love flowers, and I love arranging them and picking out the most beautiful varieties. Yeah.
Is the procedure similar as far as flowers to vegetables, as far as getting the ground ready,
yes.
All that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I had that down, and I had been working on my adding compost, building up the soil, and all of those things over all those years in my backyard, because that's where I grow most of my stuff, and learning about soil health and planting and timing and season extension and all those things. So that was all in place when I decided to just do flowers. So it was really easy to switch, and it's been great.
And did it get, you started, in your backyard, and now you've got is it called a farm, or what is it called?
I call it urban farm.
Okay.
I call it I think it's a super urban or micro urban farm. Yeah. And it is not farming. It's sustainable farming. It's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's subsistence farming.
Okay.
Is what it's called. It's not, I'm not making $1 million.
Sure.
I'm not going to go and keep growing and take over all the cornfields or anything like that. But I call it a farm.
But it got to a point where you couldn't do it in the backyard anymore. You just needed more space.
Yes, I needed more space.
And so what do you love about flower gardening? I mean, what is that just gets you?
So flowers have a long history of meaning. If you look back to Victorian England, all flowers have a meaning, like honesty or love, like a rose. Everybody thinks of roses for Valentine's Day. But there's some weirdo ones, and I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Sure.
Those kinds of things, and the meaning and the history and the other uses of the flowers besides using them in bouquets are really what drew me towards flowers. So I really like to make herbal medicine, and a lot of flowers I grow for my bouquets I also use in making my herbal medicine. And one good example is Yarrow, which I grow a whole variety of colors, but then I can also use them to make other things.
And with flowers, is there, for a particular flower, a particular season like with vegetables, or are there some that are season long?
Yeah, so there's definitely like those early season, like when you see like the sugar snap peas and the lettuce and the spinach come out, that's when all of the flowers that usually get planted in the fall are starting to bloom, like the bachelor's buttons and the calendula and all those very early cold hardy flowers come out that I've been protecting all winter. Under low tunnels.
Sure.
Babying.
We're talking with Joan Jach. She is with Old Town Flowers. How does a year look? I mean, what do you do over the winter? Are you doing research, looking at new varieties, stuff like that?
And the winter is actually, because I do my herbal medicine and have all the herbs that I've been growing all year, it's a lot. I do a lot of work in the winter too, and I do the holiday shows where I'll sell wreaths and then I'll sell all of that herbal stuff that I've been working on. So really, the real downtime for flower farmers, I would say, is at the end of January, beginning of February. That's when a lot of my flower farmer friends and I will take a break.
So we're in summer right now. Are you already, you just mentioned holiday shows. Are you already looking and getting ready for all that?
Yes, for sure. It is. Flower farming is by far the more challenging than vegetable farming in that way, because I should have already bought all of my seeds that I'm going to be starting in August, that I'm going to be planting in August, beginning of September, for the ones, so they'll bloom in March.
Sure.
And it's about, you're an 8 month out, planning 8 months out. And if you don't do that, you won't have that product when you need it to sell, when the markets are going to start.
And do you only grow flowers? Do you grow anything else?
I grow a lot of herbs.
Okay.
And this year I took back 2 of my flower beds and I planted a vegetable garden again, because I was sick of not having vegetables in my backyard. So I have tons of herbs, and we have tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and all those good things.
Not to totally put down any of the other businesses in town that people go to get flowers and everything like that, but how does what you are growing compare to what a florist may have, or we go to a grocery store and they got flowers around. How are yours comparable to theirs?
Right, mine are fresher.
Okay.
They have not traveled over the thousands of miles. Most of the flowers in the United States come from South America. Some of them will come from Europe, from Denmark, and places like that, especially the bulbs. But those flowers probably have more frequent flyer miles than most people
Sure.
because they have traveled so far and made such a huge carbon footprint. And mine don't have that, and mine are not sprayed with any pesticides or herbicides. And they're grown in such a way that I reuse a lot of things. I use the compost that I create from my flower waste back on my beds. I'm not shipping anything. I have hardly any waste. As compared to florists, they will have all of these buckets and boxes that they are constantly throwing away. And I think that there's a shift in the last few years. There's a movement called the slow flowers movement, where a lot of florists are realizing, okay, I can buy some of this product locally within a 100-mile radius usually. And I actually just sold some flowers to my friend who's a florist this morning, and she uses them in her designs, and then she orders flowers from other places too. But I think that there's this kind of shift that's kind of the same thing that's been going on with the slow food movement. It's called slow flowers, and people are realizing, where these flowers are grown, it's not a good situation with the chemicals and the labor that's involved in there. Because usually it's women and children who are picking these flowers and having to deal with all of those chemicals that they put on them.
Sure.
So mine are better in that respect. They'll also last longer because they're fresher. If I just picked them this morning and you buy them at farmer's market, they're going to last for a week. And I regularly have people come to market and they'll say, I don't need flowers because I still have them from last week. And I'm like, that's great.
And is that also kind of just, since they're from this area, they're adapted to the climate and everything like that? They're not going in kind of a shock or anything?
Yes, for sure. And I also save seeds, not of all of the flowers that I grow, but every year I increase my seed store. And when you save that seed, you save that genetic information. I save the best flowers from that batch, and then I replant them, and I can save seed from each generation. They do become better adapted to your environment. They're healthier. They know what's going to happen. They're better able to withstand the heat and the cold, things like that.
Talking with Joan Jach with Old Town Flowers. Do you ever host any events or workshops or anything?
I do, and I have a series of workshops running this summer, actually.
Okay.
They're herb workshops talking about foraging and creating with herbs. And there's going to be one each month. I'm running one actually for summer solstice this week. We're going to be making a flower mandala or mandala, where you make a design out of flower petals, and we're going to be making herb salts or herb sugars. Mm-hmm. I also host pop-up shops either in my backyard or in my house. Mm-hmm. And so all my artist friends will get together and we'll just have a sale. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how do people find out about this? You have a Facebook webpage, anything like that?
I do not have Facebook. Okay. I have shied away from Facebook lately, but I do have Instagram. Okay. I have a website, and that's www.oldtownflowerscu.com. CU's for Champaign-Urbana.
Sure.
And all of my events are listed on there. I also have a blog. I keep a journal on there. Mm-hmm. So if you want to find out about, what I've been doing the past few years, you can look.
Anybody do this with you? You mentioned you have a daughter. Does anybody help you out with this?
My husband is for sure part of the business. He is kind of like the unsung hero. He does a lot of the manual labor. He enjoys weeding. I don't know what it is. And I always just say, well, this needs weeded. And he'll get up, super, super early, and I'll wake up and it'll all be weeded. Mm-hmm. So it's great. It really helps me a lot.
Joan Jach with Old Town Flowers. Again, the website is oldtownflowerscu.com. Mm-hmm. You can also find her on Instagram. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.